Good morning. I want to share the Bible with you again this morning. It's Granny. My name is Sister Linda Greer, but all my grandyoungins call me Granny, so it's got all over everywhere that's who I am. And I do not mind at all. When I was a girl, I had a granny that was something else. Sweet, good to us. Treated us like we were special. So grannies are very wonderful things to have, aren't they? So I hope I am. I want to be. But I'm going to go back to John chapter 19 and verse 38. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him leave. He came therefore and took the body of Jesus. Now this is amazing. This could be a message that you preach, a sermon. That you might try to follow Jesus secretly for fear of somebody, for fear of what anybody's going to say about you. But when Jesus needs you to do something for him, you're not going to be able to hide it. And Joseph of Arimathea couldn't hide it. He knew that his disciples were not rich, and he felt he had just gotten that tomb all fixed up for himself. It was near where Jesus was crucified, and he knew that this was something he needed to do. So he went to Pilate. That wasn't secret. He went to Pilate and asked, could he take away the body of Jesus? And Pilate gave it to him. Because he was an influential man. He was somebody that was not just a pauper, was not just a common person. He was a rich man. And he came therefore and took the body of Jesus. He did what he knew the Lord wanted him to do. So if you're somebody like that, if you've been loving Jesus secretly for fear of your friends, for fear of the world and what they think of Jesus followers, maybe the Lord's going to call on you to do something where you're not going to be able to keep it secret anymore. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes about 100 pound weight. Now Nicodemus also was a man that came to Jesus by night and talked to him. Go back there to John chapter 3. You know, this is the famous place where he said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Remember? He said that to Nicodemus. The Bible says that Nicodemus came to Jesus by night to talk to him. He didn't come up to him when he was out there in broad daylight. So Nicodemus was someone also that wasn't just proclaiming to the world that he believed in Jesus. He was also somebody, he was a ruler of the Jews. That's what it says. Let's go back there again. John 3. There came a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. So he was a ruler of the Jews, and he brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes about 100 pound weight. Do you remember what one of the wise men offered Jesus when he was born, or after he was born, when they brought their gifts? One of the gifts was myrrh. And it was because of this need that Jesus was going to be buried and was going to need myrrh and aloes to wrap him in, because they didn't embalm them. So they bought 100 pound weight of myrrh and aloes. That's what Nicodemus brought. Then took they the body of Jesus. I assume that they knew each other very well. I don't know that, but if they were both high up with the Jews in Jerusalem, I'm sure they did. Maybe they had even spoken about Jesus to each other. But they were a team getting his body down off the cross. I'm sure they had servants to help them. Then took they the body of Jesus and wound it in linen clothes with the spices, as the manner of the Jews is to bury. So they were using those myrrh and aloes, winding it in with the linen cloths and getting him all prepared like a normal, a person that was esteemed in the community would have been buried. They weren't burying him like a pauper. They were burying him like somebody that was a good person, and that was somebody that could a decent burial. And so it says, now in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid. And we find out, let's go back to where, about that sepulchre, about Joseph of Arimathea. We find out that was his sepulchre. Let's go back to and look in the book of Mark. Let's see if we see it there in Mark. I didn't look it up, but I know that there it is. Gave the body to Joseph, and he bought fine linen and took him down and wrapped him in the linen and laid him in the sepulchre which he hewn out of a rock, and rolled a stone unto the door of the sepulchre. Now let's look in Luke, because I know in one of the Gospels it tells us that was Joseph's sepulchre. I want us to see that. And here we go. Okay. Joseph of Arimathea, he went and begged the body of Jesus, and he took it down and wrapped it in linen and laid it in a sepulchre that was hewn in stone, wherever never man was laid. So it doesn't say it there, so it must be in Matthew. Let's look in Matthew, and let's verify that this was Joseph's own new tomb that he had prepared for himself. Okay. Here we go. And Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in his clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb. That's in Matthew chapter 27 and 60. Which he had hewn out in the rock, and he rolled a stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. So Joseph had prepared a tomb in Jerusalem for himself, and he let that tomb be used by Jesus. Now, did Joseph know that he was going to rise from the dead? I don't believe so. He wasn't one of his disciples as far as followers where Jesus told him that he was going to rise from the dead. So really he was donating his tomb for Jesus to be buried in. But thank the Lord, he didn't have to loan it to him very long, did he? Although now you can go to Jerusalem and they have a place where it's supposedly it is that tomb. Nobody's in it. So I guess that tomb was a special place from then on. And Joseph never was buried in it. So now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden. And in the garden a new sepulchre, wherein was never man yet laid. There laid they Jesus therefore, because of the Jews' preparation day, for the sepulchre was nigh at hand. So it was easy for them to take it from where he was crucified to the new tomb. And God had already provided that through Joseph of Arimathea. Have you ever thought about God providing things through you? That he might be providing things for other people through you? And, you know, it takes a willingness, like Joseph. He was willing to go beg the body of of Jesus, even though he was a disciple secretly. After that, it wasn't secret anymore, was it? No. But even if you aren't a secret follower, if you are a follower of Jesus and have been, always have been, he may have something that he wants you to provide for him or for someone else, that he wants to use you to provide for them. Remember that we're not in this world to gather up riches or to gather up possessions. We are here to serve the Lord. We are his children. And whatever he desires for us to do for him, we should do it freely, because he's given to us freely, hasn't he? That's what Joseph did. He went ahead and Nicodemus, both of them. I mean, the whole city was watching Nicodemus and watching Joseph do these things for Jesus. They were seeing both of them, a ruler of the Jews and a rich man, taking Jesus down and burying him in that new sepulcher that had just been hewn out. And you look at Isaiah 53, we talked about that yesterday, how amazing it was for it to be prophesied like it was. Isaiah lived about 700 years before Jesus came. And in Isaiah 53, it says about, let me find this part. He made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. The rich, Joseph was a rich man, and this new tomb was not the tomb of a pauper. It was a rich man's tomb. He made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. So Isaiah was prophesying about how that was going to happen. God knew all about. It's hard to understand how God can know the future. I mean, he can, he does. But it's hard to understand how he could know it, because it hadn't happened yet. But those are things that we have to say, that's because he is God. And he has made us with a finite understanding. But his understanding is not finite, it's infinite. He understands everything. He knows how to put us on the right road, because he knows where that right road leads. Even if it doesn't seem reasonable to be on that road, he knows where it leads. Go and do whatever the Lord shows you to do, because he's going to help you. And when you get to the place at the end of it, you're going to say, sure enough, I got on that right road. And look what happened. Look what God let me do. Look who got saved. Look who's serving the Lord now. The older I get, I know that it's going to be over one day. I hope I go in the rapture. But if I don't, if I go by the grave, it's going to be over one day for me. And I hope all the things that I have done will prove out to be the path the Lord wanted me on, doing what he wanted me to do. Now we're going to start in chapter 20 about the resurrection. And I'm going to go ahead and start on it today, and then we'll do some more tomorrow. Because it says, the first day of the week cometh Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Now there are so many things that if we read Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then we read John, that we try to fit together with this. Try to fit together with Mary Magdalene being there when she was and seeing the stone rolled away. We see other women, or maybe her and other women came and they saw the angel, and he told them, why seek ye the living among the dead? But then it says that about Mary Magdalene, when she saw the stone taken away from the sepulchre, then she runneth and cometh to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved, and saith unto them, They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. So she was scared. She thought maybe his body had been stolen. And John again says, and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved. So she told Peter and John about it. But I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to get any more deeply in it and not have time to go on. But tonight, if you have a chance, I want you to look in Matthew, Mark, and Luke about how the people came to the sepulchre, and try to fit it all together in your mind, how it really worked. We know it's all true. So try to fit it together in your mind how it all worked, that they discovered that Jesus had risen. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you.